Hi, good evening. I'm just want to talk tonight about the flipped classroom scenario that's going on here, especially in the United States and more than likely across the world. I believe that all students who are engaged in classroom and learning um, have been engaged in online for if not a year, over a year in the online slash in person module concept. So maybe a 3-2 type of model, part time in class, part time online. The thoughts of this was made from a video I had watched over by Jacob Lowell Bishop, Utah State University. Jacob holds the Bachelor of Science and Master's degrees in Mechanical Engineering. He's currently a graduate student at Utah State University pursuing his PhD. And then also his focus on this was to use the latent variable models to analyze variety the validity of change over time, and how the flipped classroom got its name. And at one point, I felt he was trying to get all of us back up in a row in trying to define the flipped classroom. What is a flipped classroom? Defining that, and surprisingly to me, there is not a definition, I guess. And when listening to his or reading through his papers, I found out that the majority of his, I guess, piece was could have been his piece titled "The Flipped Classroom: A Survey of the Research." So it's basically trying to figure out what is a flipped classroom and what classifies a classroom. He went through many different parts of it, and I'll just go through my notes because it just was pretty in depth. And I'll read pieces of it overall, and I'll try to crunch this down into a piece. It's 12. It's a 12-page document. And it goes through all the details of the classroom types, definitions, and what this expert said from 1967, Peugeot, and in Vygotsky in 1978, Truge and Winterhoff and Foote and Howell, and all their theories, and what is a true flipped classroom and what a classroom is, a traditional classroom, even as we had prior to this. But I think a lot of teachers, current day teachers, even professors at university, they do a lot of online lectures and classwork. I have been taking online classes for quite some time, and it fits my schedule, honestly. And I think that's a selling point. It just fits your schedule, and you can work full time. I've worked full time during my entire college career, working 40 to 60 hours a week at a job just to pay for it, right? So that's the problems and crossroads where they start getting into this classifying online classes, and what does a teacher provide? Is it more interactive during their class time, or in the lectures, or homework? We're just kind of flipped it, where normally you attend a class and you're getting a lecture, you're getting all the history, all the content, all of it. Where does it all come from? From here, right? So that's what they were kind of talking about. And trying to define the new word flipped classroom. It's kind of an interesting thing there. But so he talks about the rise of the flipped classroom and how the electronic telegraph came in the 1830s, wireless radio came in the late 1800s, and in the early 1900s, television. Then it went through the 1920s, computers in the 1940s, and then the internet in the 1960s, and the World Wide Web 1990s. So they're saying there was a progressive change to bring up this flipped classroom, right? So they said that technologies have been adopted and ideas, and they have been spread through all the channels and have enabled a second movement, whereas the technology movement sought to overcome real physical barriers to free the open flow of information, so on, so on, so on. All right. I talked about the Encyclopedia Britannica and how technology made it available for everyone. Wikipedia, bam, 2001, it was available. As far as the Britannica, Encyclopedia Britannica, it was just became available, right? I mean, golly. So by that time, Wikipedia opened up their websites, received over 2.7 billion U.S. monthly page views. I mean, 2.7 billion U.S. monthly. I mean, God, that's amazing. It's a lot of people checking out Encyclopedia Britannica, and then using that to view it over through Wikipedia as the vehicle that showed it. I find that amazing. So, and again, they just kind of reinforce what was going on, and then went back to the how this classroom idea, flipped classroom, kind of took place, and where students, for example, the MIT took a significant step forward when it announced its open courseware, the OCW's initiative, and the writers here identified that in 2001. You gotta wonder what's going on there. So then it opened up access to the information. It previously only been available for students who paid the tuition, which is somewhere over $40,000 a year, just basic MIT degree. Continue this trend. The MIT alum Salman Khan, you may have heard of the Khan Academy. I don't think it's around anymore, but in 2006, it might be as a technical school, but there's some accreditation going on there. That's issues. But he released a library of over 3,200 videos, 350 practice sessions in 2012. The stated mission of the Khan Academy is to provide a free world-class education to anyone, anywhere. Okay. It gained momentum, inspired the Khan Academy's efforts. Stanford professors Sebastian Thrun and Andrew Ng opened up access to online courses in the fall of 2011. And so on. There's more other schools did this. We all know this. That's why we're online. That's why our schools are able to get our dollars for doing online courses, right? So they continued on and explained more and more, talked about the online learning, the flipped classroom, and the definition of the flipped classroom. It just wasn't clear. It was a lot of what a classroom is and what it isn't, and how the what do you call it? The learning styles. They talked about the unique learner for each individual. Each individual has a learning style that's important to them. And then they go to a peer assisted collaboration and cooperative learning, which is important. And then cooperative learning all by itself. One of the experts were talking about that. And then the problem based, learning from the problem, solve the problem. Those kind of things. So it was quite interesting, and they ended up with active learning. But still, as the report talked more about in details of each of those learning styles, and how Dewey and Piaget and Kolb, they identified all these kind of learning styles. They still had trouble identifying a flipped classroom, and they gave some theories about this or theories about that and what's best. However, I've come to find that they were still trying to define the flipped classroom based off of the original in-person classroom. So I think it's just one of those new things that they are trying to get a definition for, like they would say, peer-assisted collaboration, or collaborative or cooperative learning, or problem-based learning is this, and it goes like this, and this is what this is about. I truly believe that they have a problem, that they have not looked at this close enough. Um, just like the problem-based learning, they lays out five goals of a problem-based learning. These include helping students develop flexible knowledge, effective base problem solving skills, self-directed learning skills, effective collaboration skills, stuff like that. That's where they're having a problem with, because if we think about this, I'm thinking it's all of these learning styles in one, and they're throwing this at teachers that, hey, we need all of this, and this is what you got. We all know this. We're feeling this. But I think in the end, I guess in the end of this message here that they had going on here, the results was they felt like the research was encouraging. They said there were several shortcomings to the study. First, in the class activities, where our still carried a lecture component with it, and I think most things do. Even though time was provided for interactive activities, and we do that with our kids. Second, the duration of the treatment was very short, and the topics on both sides of the flipped topics were still taught with traditional methods. Why was this? Well, it was because that's what we know. It's what we were taught to do. It's what we went to school for. I still think that there is some information here that needs further examination, so they can get a good understanding of how the flipped classroom should work and what are the best exercises to do, because it is a timing situation. You've got young kids, and we've got to think about the ones that are kindergarten all the way up to college students even. So I don't think in my readings of this, they didn't come to a good solid understanding or definition. Is it this report? There is more research needed to examine the flipped classroom style. Although I think after this year, they'll have plenty of information. I think they'll have plenty of experts and in classroom people, the frontline teachers, that will give them what a flipped classroom is and what works, what doesn't work, and the timings of these things. I do know some professors that I've had will do. It was an activity, in-person activity over through the computer and the video live, and it was set that way. And then they recorded a lecture. You had to go listen to the lecture, and that was your homework. I've seen that happen a lot, but I do like the professors, and I do this with my kids with the robots coding and stuff. I like to set videos for them. There is plenty of expert videos out there. I can reinforce what they watch and reinforce that practice in class. And because I have in class and online students. So do I support this idea and the road that they're on? I think I do, but I think there's enough information right now where they can get a definition, they can get a style, teaching style for this flipped classroom definition. So do I agree with what they said? It needs more examination. I think there's plenty information there to examine. And I think there's plenty of information available from experts in the field right now that can give them, and experts, I'm talking about teachers that are doing this every day and have been doing this every day. That's my opinion. Hope that you get a chance to take a look at this. It was quite interesting. And again, I'll sit here and give you the names of these. It's short. It's a short, 12-page deal there. But it's the flipped classroom. It's a survey of the research. Jacob Lowell Bishop, Utah State University. Jacob, again, he holds that Bachelor of Science and Master of Science degrees. Mechanical engineering. He is currently a graduate student at Utah State University. You can probably go out and look at his name. Lowell, his last name spelled Lowell. Again, this is John Stanton. hope you enjoyed this. I will be signing off here now.